Hi, I'm Dan of AppStoreSchool.com, and this is the roadmap to the Apple App Store, a free PDF download from AppStoreSchool.com, and this is the July 2021 edition. So we're going to take a quick look at the roadmap and a quick look at each of the milestones, and then I'm going to show you how you can download your free copy of the PDF, and I'm going to finish with a quick note about an August 21 challenge where you can win an Apple Watch. Okay, so first of all, here's our roadmap. And it's roughly a 7 milestone process from going from your idea for an app, even if you have never done one before, all the way to an app for sale in the Apple App Store. So at mile 1, we have some initial setup steps that we just have to do for the first time only. You only have to do them once, and then from that point forward, any app you create, that setup step is done for you, taken care of. Milestone 2, that's the process of actually creating your app, and depending on the complexity of your app, this can be a very short process or it can be a long one involving a lot of people, but that depends on the actual app. Regardless of that, when your app is completed, you really want to thoroughly test your app, and that's milestone 3. And you want to test the app on your computer, on your own devices, and you want to test it on other people's devices as well, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Milestone 4, once you're done creating and building your app, you want to start preparing it for the Apple App Store. And the app has to be reviewed by Apple. And part of that review process, you have to provide screenshots amongst other things. So milestone 4 is to create those app screenshots. You also have to have a certain number of web pages on the internet. So milestone 5 is to create a product website with those requirements by Apple. And then once steps 4 and 5 are done, milestone 6 is to actually submit it for review. So in addition to the screenshots and the websites, Apple's going to ask you some other questions like what category is your app, the age rating for it, how much you want to charge for it, things like that. And then once you submit it and once it's approved by Apple, you are at milestone 7. You are now an app developer if you weren't one already. So those are the milestones in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and take a look at them one by one real quick. At the end of the video here, I'm going to talk about a short quiz you can take. And so there's one question for every milestone of the quiz. So without further ado, here is milestone 1. Okay, setup. A long time ago, when I had an iPod, my first Apple device was an iPod. They don't sell them anymore, but back then it was like an iPhone, except there was no phone capability of it. You could download apps, you could develop for it, etc. And I decided, I want to take the plunge. I want to try to build an app for the iPod. And I learned that there's a product called Xcode that's from Apple that you use to develop those applications. And I had a PC at the time. And I went on the web and I searched for the Xcode download for PC. And I couldn't find it. I searched high and low, and try as I might, I could not find the download for Xcode for PC. I could only find a Mac download. And I came to learn that the reason for that is because Xcode only runs on Mac. So to develop in the App Store, to develop apps for the Apple App Store, you have to have a Mac. So that is step 1 of milestone 1, is to get a Mac. And it doesn't matter which kind it is, but you got to have a Mac. And then once you have your Mac, you can join Apple's developer program. The program costs $99 a year. And with that, you get access to all of the software, all of the documentation, everything you're going to need to develop your app, as well as the ecosystem for submitting your app to the App Store, as well as having your app for sale and all the tracking and payment information and payment processing. That's all done through the Apple developer program from Apple. And then once you join the developer program, you can download the free Xcode software. As of this month, July 2021, the latest version of Xcode is version 13. And version 13 requires the latest Mac OS, which is Big Sur, which you will have if you have a brand new computer or if you've upgraded from, say, Catalina. Now, if you're still on an older Mac and you have Catalina, or you can use Xcode 12 or whatever version of Xcode is appropriate for your given operating system. And then once you have your Mac, your developer program, Xcode, within Xcode, you have a one-step process of registering yourself to create a developer certificate. And you'll use that developer certificate to, along with your app when you submit it to the App Store to identify you as the owner of your application. It's a well-documented process, and you only have to do it that one time. And so once step 1 is done, you can move on to milestone 2, and that is to create your application. And the process of creating this application, like I said earlier, can be a simple process for a simple app, like I'm going to talk about here in my course, Your First App in the Apple App Store in under 30 days, no coding required. So as the name says, it is possible to create apps for the App Store without writing any code. On the other hand, there are some more complicated apps that require a lot of coding, and in some cases, instead of taking days or weeks, takes months or years, and sometimes involve large teams of a lot of people in marketing and development and testing and QA and all that. So it really depends on what kind of app you're developing. But again, if you are a developer, if you're not a developer, not a coder, I want to let you know you can still become a developer without writing any code at all. And I'll talk about that more in a minute. But regardless of what kind of app you have, a huge part of that process is to test your app, really thoroughly test your app. And to start with, you're going to use Xcode. That's the software on the Mac from Apple to create your applications. And Xcode has a built-in simulator, which is really cool because you can specify which app you're testing on, and it pops up a user interface that looks just like the device. Whether it's an old iPhone or a brand new iPad, right there on your screen, you have a window that looks just like that device, and you can thoroughly test there. And then once you've tested in the simulator, then you can actually take your iPhone or your iPad, or preferably both, and attach it to your Mac and test your app directly on your device. And then once you're happy with that, you can actually go one step further and use a program from Apple called TestFlight to deploy your app and give it to your family and friends and colleagues to have them tested on their devices and make sure that it is ready for a wider audience. So moving on to milestone 4. At this stage, your app is done. And at this stage, really the hardest parts are behind you. Now you just have to go through some logistics to get it to the App Store. And so one of the first things you're going to need are app screenshots. Apple allows you to provide up to 10 application screenshots. These are like pictures of your app that you see on the App Store. Anytime you've downloaded an app from the App Store, you see those little thumbnail previews of it. Apple requires you to have at least one screenshot. A hint, if there's a quiz later on, that might be a question on the quiz. Apple also lets you do 3 screen recordings. They call them previews, and you can upload 3 screen previews, and you can use your iPhone or iPad. The latest versions have a recording capability, which are really handy for this type of thing. And also the Xcode simulator also has an export tool for creating these app screenshots. You don't have to use the Xcode simulator, and you don't have to use your phone to create these, but Apple does have requirements with regards to the screen sizes, and the Xcode simulator creates those screenshots in those exact dimensions that Apple wants. So that's what I use to create it. But the point is, for milestone 4, you must upload at least one screenshot of your app. And milestone 5, once you have your screenshots and your optional previews, you need to have a product website. So Apple requires 3 specific pages available to the public who download your app. One page is the privacy policy, and Apple goes into very great detail of what they want to see in that privacy policy. They want a marketing page. It can be one page or it can be several pages with a brief or detailed description of your app. I like to use the screenshots that I took in milestone 4. I like to reuse them on my marketing page. And then lastly, Apple wants you to have a support page, and this is a page with contact details like email address or phone number, where people can go to get support from your application if they have any questions. Okay, so now you've completed milestone 4, you've got your screenshots. Milestone 5, you've got your website and your links to those 3 pages. Now you submit it to Apple through a website called App Store Connect. And part of your developer program, when you sign up for the developer program, your account gives you access to App Store Connect. And so this is where you go in and you upload your app from Xcode. You upload the screenshots and previews that you took in Milestone 4. This is where you enter the URLs for your marketing page and your privacy policy page and your support page, and a couple more questions. They're going to ask you, like, what category is your app in. They're going to want you to type a brief description of it. Of course, this is where you enter the pricing for your app, whether it's a free app or a paid app. This is where you specify that. And then once you get all that done, and there's a lot of questions, but if you prepare for it, and I've got a cheat sheet in the course, Your First App in the Apple App Store in Less Than 30 Days. This whole process, if you're well prepared, takes about an hour. And I'm going to show you how in that course you really get this step taken care of in under an hour. And then once you do that, you hit submit, and then you'll get an email immediately from Apple, and they'll say, okay, your app is now pending review. And so a person at Apple will then review your app to make sure it abides by all their policies and matches kind of your description. And they'll write back to you and let you know. If there's a problem, they'll let you know the problem, and they'll give you a chance to correct it. And if it's accepted, then you'll be in the App Store. And this process takes anywhere from as long as a week to as short as a day. And so with that acceptance, your app is now in the App Store, and you can celebrate. You have become an app developer. If you weren't one before, you are an app developer now. You can share your success with your family and friends and your colleagues, really celebrate your achievement, promote it on social media. And then back in App Store Connect, where you uploaded your app, you can then start to monitor your downloads, your ratings, your reviews, your revenue, of course. And then from there, you can enhance your application and resubmit it later on, or you can move on to your next great app. And so in a nutshell, those are the 7 milestone steps, start to finish, from your great idea to graduating to becoming a full-fledged app developer, whether or not you wrote a single line of code. And you can download this PDF, and let me tell you how to do that here. So if you're watching this on appstoreschool.com, you'll see the interface here. You've got some navigation on the left. There's the video there, front and center of the screen. And then below the video, there's a thumbnail of the PDF. Just go ahead and click on that thumbnail. That'll pop up the PDF that you can download, your own copy. And below the thumbnail is an actual download button, and you can click that. In some cases, it'll download it directly to your computer. Depending on your browser, it may open it up into another browser window, and that browser window will have a download step there, a download button. But either way, that's how you get your free PDF of that roadmap from appstoreschool.com. If by chance you're watching this video on YouTube, you'll see the video here, and right below the video you'll see App Store School and a note about where to download the PDF. So basically, type this into your browser, appstoreschool.com. That'll take you to the App Store School homepage. You'll see a picture of me and my dog Cosmo here, and right above that, way at the top, you're going to see this banner, Roadmap to the Apple App Store, download your free PDF. Go ahead and click on that button there. It's going to prompt you to create an account. It's completely free. No credit card is taken or required. Just enter your name and your details, or just use your LinkedIn, Facebook, or Google profiles, and then just click on the thumbnail, and that'll take you to the download page. And then after you watch the video, right below the download, there's a link to a quiz. And I encourage you to challenge yourself to see if you can pass the quiz with 100%. There are 7 questions. There's 1 question for every milestone in the roadmap. And they're not hard. I will let you know there's a couple trick questions in that. You got to read the question carefully. In particular, I'll just give you a hint. There's one question where there is more than one correct answer, so you want to watch out for that. But if you challenge yourself and get 100%, I give you a certificate of completion as a way of saying thank you for watching. I encourage you to do that. If by chance you get a question wrong or a couple questions wrong, you can go ahead and retake the quiz. Go ahead and retake the quiz and see if you can challenge yourself to get 100% on that. Again, it's one question based on the milestones, and the questions are covered in that. And if you've got the PDF handy, it'll really be a piece of cake. And again, if you can ace the quiz, you can ace the App Store. You really can. And I want to encourage you, especially if you're not a developer, I've got a course called Your First App in the Apple App Store in less than 30 days, no coding required. And as the name implies, we walk through from start to finish, creating an app that is submitted to the Apple App Store, and we don't write a single line of code. And in particular, to do that, the kind of app we're going to create is called a sticker pack. And they're a lot of fun. You could use your creativity. And again, no coding required. So if you are a coder, that's no problem. You're still welcome. If you're not a coder, never coded before, again, don't worry about it. You can become an app developer nonetheless. So during the month of August, the August course, we're going to have a challenge as well where you can win an Apple Watch. And I've got some really good prizes. So first of all, when you sign up for the course, I'm going to send you an Apple Watch band, okay? A real genuine Apple Watch band from Apple, just for signing up for the course, okay? And then when you complete the course, just for completing the course and getting your first app in the Apple App Store, the Sticker Pack app, I'm going to send you a brand new Apple Watch. No kidding, no joke, a real Apple Watch Series 3 from Apple, just for completing the course. Everybody who completes the course gets an Apple Watch in August 2021. And then the challenge is everybody who completes that course, we're going to have a grand prize of a voting competition, and everybody who completes the course, we're going to vote on who we think is the best, and the winner of that is going to win the Apple Watch Series 6. It's the high-end one from Apple. It's the latest and greatest. It's the Apple Watch with the cell chip built into it, the SIM card, so you can actually use that watch as an Apple phone. So I'm really excited about this, and I hope you will be too. Once again, I want to say thank you for watching. I'm Dan, appstoreschool.com, and I'll see you in the App Store.